Hello everybody, welcome back to the Stacey West. We're back on a preview. This time we've got Wigan Athletic on Tuesday night to follow up our FA Cup exit on Saturday. I'm very lucky to be joined by Barry Worthington, a Wigan supporter. Good morning, Barry. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, very well, Jake. Thank you. Good morning to you as well.
Well, we might as well just dive into the football. Wigan, obviously a club that have come down from the Championship under questionable circumstances. Can you just sort of give Lincoln fans a bit of an insight into what happened there? Because I think you finished mid-table.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it short. We could probably do a 3-hour special on this, but obviously we were placed into administration on the 1st of July and automatically hit with 12 points. The points we gained in the season would have had us finishing in 13th. We were 1 point off staying up anyway, so we threw a couple of we got done at home to Fulham. We drew with them, and we drew away at Charlton, who scored in the 97th minute to equalise. If we'd have won either of those games, we'd have been up. So we were thrown into administration by some mysterious guy who most of us had never heard of. We didn't know he'd taken over the club. That happened in June. He was in charge for 2 weeks. There was all sorts of rumours flying about us as why he'd done it. Possibly it was because the previous owner didn't want, had enough. They reckon he put about 25 million into the club, and then he just wanted to walk away. And this was his way of doing it without having the stain on himself. And he had like a bit of a fall guy. So we ended up getting relegated, even though we were playing some fantastic football. From January onwards, we were the form team in the division. Everything had clicked. And without a doubt, if we'd have kept that squad together and had the manager, we'd have been challenging at the top end of the Championship this season, without a doubt.
Wigan are, historically a team that sort of bounced between League One and the Championship, especially in the last couple of years. They found life difficult. No, sorry, Barry. No, it's all right. Yeah, please. I'll have a cup of tea if that's all right.
Yeah, I want to. Cheers.
Barry wants one.
Yeah, that's all right. No worries.
Yeah, he says no worries. Sorry about that, mate.
All
Family. 22 and living at home. What can I do? Right, I'll carry on. Right, okie doke. So, obviously, Wigan are a team that have bounced between the Championship and League One in the last couple of years, but they've not found League One as easy this time around. Why do you think that would be?
Well, the previous 2 times we were in League One, we had parachute payments. This time, with no money. So there's a massive difference. In the summer, we lost 17 players who were all more than capable of playing in League One. Even the likes like Michael Jacobs, who was a squad player, we lost him. He was a Championship squad player, but a very good League One player. We've lost internationals, and we've left now with it's quite sad really. We have a fantastic academy, and the lads were coming through. They're all kids. They're playing brilliant. They've been winning the leagues and the cups at under 18 level for the past few years, and it was time for them to start to be blooded into the first team, 1 maybe 2 at a time. But we've got nine academy kids at the moment playing, in the first team, and it's too much for them. It is too much. They've not got that experience. We're getting caught out. We're conceding absolute stupid goals just through lack of experience. Individually, they're absolutely fantastic players and they'll go on to a great career. But collectively, because that experience is missing, we're getting punished week in and week out.
And, what are your highlights? And, more specifically, I'm guessing you have more lowlights. What's been the right down point of the season so far?
Well, 1st of July was very, very disappointing. That's when because it came out of the blue. There's been no warning. Even the UK-based directors, because we was owned by an Hong Kong consortium. Jonathan Jackson, his dad was president of the club previously. He's our CEO, or he was, a lifelong Wigan Athletic supporter, knew nothing about it. Darren Royal, the son of Joe Royal, he was the executive chairman. He knew nothing about it. It was all, the decision was taken in Hong Kong and then thrown upon him. We'd beaten Stoke the previous evening 3-0. Everybody was buoyant, buzzing. That was an horrible day, that. And when you think that you're going into administration in the middle of a global pandemic, supporters aren't allowed into grounds. So obviously you've no money, you've got massive debts because they've left you in that situation. You're thinking, where does the club go from here? There's nobody going to come in and buy it because there's no potential in the club, because football at that stage was dead. There was nobody watching. There was no revenue streams. And a lot of us believed it was the end of the club. To be honest, we thought, this is it, we're folding.
Obviously, you've had a few managers. John Sheridan came in for 8 games, as you spoke to me a bit off air about. What's the new manager? He's got one hell of a task, hasn't he, to try and keep you guys in the division this year? Yeah,
well, what the administrator said, we've got Liam Richardson, who was Paul Cook's assistant. He was his assistant at Portsmouth, and he's followed him up to Wigan. He was his assistant with us, very successful. He's highly rated. We love Liam Richardson. We think he's fantastic. But he didn't want the how can I put this without sounding unfair to him? He didn't want the onus of the running of the club on his shoulders alone. So he asked the administrators to bring in somebody else. So that's why Sheridan came in. But we believe that Liam Richardson has basically been doing all the training and looking at the tactics anyway. So he's just going to carry on now. We've got Gregor Rioch in there as well, who's Bruce Rioch's son, and he's our academy manager, and he's another one of those highly rated coaches. So all the kids are playing, and we've got a familiar face in Gregor Rioch there with them, and a really sound tactician. And sounds a bit daft saying we're the bottom of the table, but they are. In spells, we play some lovely football, and you can see the kids are there. It's just that lack of experience that's slowing us down at the moment. But Liam Richardson, he's got one hell of a job on at the moment. We're going down without any changes to the players, but yeah, depressing.
Obviously, Wigan and Lincoln don't tend to cross paths much. They haven't crossed paths in the time that I've been supporting Lincoln. What are just quickly? What are your opinions on Lincoln as a club and how we've started the season so far?
Well, as a club, I mean, going back, I'm 61. My first game was 1971, so I'm letting it out of the bag there. And Lincoln was always a big club to us. When we first got into the league back in '78, we played Lincoln City first of all in 1979, and it was a club with a name. I mean, you've been in the second tier. Cheers, Dad.
No worries. All the best. Who's Eastport?
Wigan.
Yeah.
We're keeping that in.
Leave that in, yeah. Yeah. So 79, we played Lincoln City, and it was it was a big game for us. Like every game was, as you come up from non-league. And then we've had a few players go over your way as well. Phil Daly, you might not remember him. He went in the 80s. John Robertson in the 90s. He was a no-nonsense centre half. We used to call him Mr. Finesse because he used to hit a free kick from 80 yards, and it's to fly over the crossbar of the opposing team. There was no skill to it, just power. But they were good lads, who went over to Lincoln. So then you see the demise of Lincoln City, and you dropped out of the league, and that was heartbreaking because you were one of the first clubs. Were you one of the first clubs to get relegated from the league?
Yeah.
And when you think about that, we battled for years to get elected to the league before promotion came in. We finally got elected, and then suddenly this trap door opens where you can get demoted. So I did follow Lincoln, and I followed you in non-league, and I know there was struggles there for quite a few years. But then you started your meteoric rise, and it was fantastic to see that. And when you did Burnley in the cup as well, it was brilliant because they're sort of local to us, and it was a great result. So I have kept an eye on them. Like we spoke off, and I'll let you know that my son is currently living over in Lincolnshire. He's been there for 8 years now. He's living in Sleaford. and he has quite a few friends who were imps, as he calls them, nasty little imps. And he's been watching Lincoln City a couple of times himself. So yeah, and I think with the fans in, it's quite an intimidating atmosphere, isn't it? There, yeah. So
squadron at full pelt in the air siren, it can be a bit of a daunting place for away players to come.
Yeah, but it's a ground I've never been to, and this year I was so looking forward to coming, and I was going to make a week of it, stopping at my lad's house and all the rest of it. And it's gutting again, isn't it, to find ourselves in this situation and no supporters. But yeah, so Lincoln, I'm not saying I've got a soft spot for them because I've not, but I've always kept my eye out for them. I'll be telling lies and trying to blow smoke up your backside if I said that. But you are a club that I have noticed quite a lot, and I was pleased that you got back in the league when you did.
Have you been impressed with our start to the season?
Absolutely, fantastic start. Once Danny Cowley left and his brother, I thought you might struggle a bit because that continuity had gone. And then when you appointed Michael Appleton, I know he's quite a stern character, and I know more about his time at Blackpool than anywhere else, and Blackburn Rovers obviously. And they weren't too happy with him, I'll say that, the supporters. But by all accounts, he's doing a really good job, and he's got you playing some good football. And it's good to see, it's refreshing to see teams challenging up at the top who you perhaps wouldn't expect to challenge up at the top. And that's what football's about. I mean, we was in the Premier League for 8 seasons. Wigan Athletic, I've told you, though, we can come out in non-league in 1978. A small town club, a bit of a joke, ground were falling to bits, never any money, 2,000 supporters every week. And it just gives heart and hope to all the other clubs around the country, all the provincial clubs, rather than your big city clubs like Manchester and Liverpool and London clubs. So it's fantastic.
Just moving on quickly to obviously Tuesday night, how can you see it playing out from a Wigan perspective?
Well, we've, like I said, we've lost 17 players in summer. We've just lost Joe Garner, who's gone off to India. Our senior players are all injured. So on our last home game against Bristol Rovers, we had 9 academy players and 2 senior players in that team. But we held them to a goalless draw, and it was quite refreshing. Bristol Rovers, as you probably realise, aren't the best team in the division. It was 18-4 on the shot count in their favour. So I think we could be in for a bit of a torrid time. I do expect us to struggle. If Naismith or Lee Evans is our other senior player, if either of those two went back, I can't see us creating anything, any clear-cut chances. And I'm thinking that we're going to take maybe a 2 or 3-0 defeat, to be honest.
Nothing positive, but thank you very much for coming on the Stacey West, Barry. It's massively appreciated. And obviously all the best for the season. Obviously, despite the times we play you, but thank you everybody for watching another episode of the Stacey West, and we'll be back very soon for another preview.
Thank you.